All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we got a killer that most people don't know about. He's a silent killer. He kind of keeps to himself. He don't show a whole bunch of media stuff. He killed a lot of public land deer, and here's one of them. Big, probably 7-year-old plus deer, just heavy mass, 230 pound or so. But this guy's name is Jason Hill. And he's killed several deer on different pieces of public land in Alabama. We're going to walk into his other room with his other trophies and check him out. And he's going to tell us a story. But we're going to start out with this. This is a house got here in his living room on the display. So, and actually, he's got something that's bigger than this back there in his room. So we're going to walk back there and see them. All right, we're in here with a room of biggins now. So, this is a wall full of public land houses. So that is a cool looking, non-typical looking, I guess he'd run into something.
And that's the first buck I ever killed in Bankhead.
Wow. So he's saying that's the first buck he's ever killed in Bankhead. And this is Bankhead deer. You can, if you look back there, you can tell that kicker to the back. That's one of the unique traits of some of the genetics out there. And this big old monster, we'll talk about it in a second, but that's a huge deer. He's got a very nice one that's laying in his bed, got on bed. So, kill so many big ones, have to have a bed for one of them. So, then this is a house one too. So, and this is public land. This is, where'd you say this one's from?
That one's from Wheeler.
Wheeler.
That's a flintlock. My son actually killed that one right there. My son and buddy, Brian Tucker.
Wow. So, with a flintlock.
Yeah, that next one is a flintlock deer that I killed with my son.
Wow. So he's killing with a flintlock, killing with a bow, and with a rifle. So you killed some muzzleloader too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So,
multi-weapon hunter here, so.
Yeah, flintlock and muzzleloader is what I love to do the most.
Wow.
But
that's a big old hoss. This is the one we're going to talk about. This deer weighed 252 pounds, and they kind of think they've done a little bit wrong in the addition part, but it's pushing 260. But it's a huge. I mean, they kill 240s and 230 pounds up there pretty regular. But when you kill one that's 250 pounds plus in Alabama and on public land, shoot, it's something else. So yeah, they just look. I mean, you can tell by the mount. That thing is just crazy. So. Real good mass, long tines, a bunch of them. Just top-notch deer for Alabama, and top it off of that, and just public land. So we're gonna get down here and let him tell the story about the big, heavy body one. So and that's a very good-looking mount too. So.
Yeah, that's all Daniel Williams there.
Daniel Williams. So. That deer down there with that white horn, you killed him in January, so that's a flintlock.
That was a flintlock. It was actually in the snow. It was over a foot of snow right there.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks like a picture from up north on the.
Yeah, it's almost like a cutover deer or like or a CRP deer or something, because the horns are kind of white, like it got a lot of sun or something. So with these old Bankhead deer, they're in them hemlocks and stuff like that. So they dark. So.
Yeah, that. On what the different trees they rub on and all that.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna stop and let him get set up and let him get a good story about this big old house. All right, y'all. We're gonna get Jason to tell us a story about this 252 pound plus monster buck. So, and we're gonna enjoy it. So, just tell us how you kind of found it, and then the basic setup and the history, because you said it has some history with it. And just go into that if you want to, and just take time and. We'll enjoy it. So.
Okay. Well, just one of those, used to study maps all the time and everything, and found this little spot that was kind of overlooked, and went down and checked it out, scouted it out. Wasn't much deer sign around, but one little bitty spot had some sign. So I thought, well, this would be a good spot to come back and climb or hunt, whatever, on down the road. So I went back in there and and climbed. And I think it was the first time I'd hunted in the area. Well, anyway, got in there, got set up, and this little young, year and a half old, maybe 2.5. I think he was a 6 or an 8. I can't remember at the time, but came by me right there. Well, I let him go that day. I was way back in there and everything. Well, anyway, I kind of filed that back, and I was like, well, I see the deer that's making all the sign and all that stuff, and he's small, or young buck. So I moved on and kind of saved it, or whatever you want to call it, filed it back, and didn't go back in there and hunt. Well, I kept going for a year or so or whatever. And well, you and Jamie put out that podcast about scouting scouting after the season, and that's what fired my buddy. My buddy seen the podcast, Brian Tucker, and said, "Man, we got to go out here after the season and do some scouting." So we went to a few places, and that was one of the places I wanted to go. It'd been several years since I seen that buck there, so I got down there and we walked in, and I finally found another piece to the puzzle, and there was a trail coming across it a little bit different way right there. So I said, well, I'm probably hunting it a little bit different way, or probably been hunting it just a little wrong, however you want to put that. But anyway, so I said, and the rubs, the same deer where that smaller deer was using, and the trees he was rubbing, you could tell he was still there, and the rubs had gotten bigger, the sign bigger, and all that, but it was still the exact same little bitty area. So I felt sure he was still in there, and found that well beaten down trail. So anyway, we came back in that fall right there, and everything was there. I hunted it, I think, a time or two. I hunted it once or twice, and I mean, didn't have any pictures of him, but I had pictures of another really nice buck, and enough to keep me going in there.
Right.
And so we went in the day I killed him. Went in, and I got set up. My buddy Wes, he was supposed to have been several ridges over from me, and I could hear him over there. I was like, man, that is the worst job I've ever heard of bleating and trying to make it sound like a buck chasing a doe. I was like, man, that's awful. It sounds like somebody's beating a deer to death with a bat over there. Anyway, so I'm sitting over there, and that rock's on for an hour or so, and I sat there, and later on I'm like, I think I can hear leaves and stuff. I actually think that's a deer running around over there. Well, 30 minutes, hour later there, I hear him coming. I hear it going again, and this guy come running through there, chasing that doe. And anyway, he come through, and I'm like, man, it was so thick where I was at. I was thinking that deer's going to run through here and nearly brush up against my tree, and I'm not going to get a shot at him because he's on this about 70-pound doe that right there. Well, anyway, he finally made a cut right there, and I got the crosshairs on him and pulled the trigger, and he flipped down, and I'm like, my goodness, I was like, that thing had horns everywhere, I could see a bunch of points, and he actually fell. He probably ain't 20 yards from me, but it's so thick I can't see the deer.
Wow.
So I'm sitting up there, and I'm actually shaking. I'm shaking. My knees is weak here after I pull the trigger and everything. And I'm sitting there, and I look around and all this, and thank the Lord and all that good stuff, all that stuff you do when you harvest a deer. And I look back around, I couldn't see nothing. I couldn't find the deer nowhere, and I'm like, man, that joker has got up and run off. So I sat there 20 or 30 minutes. And finally, I'd move around in the tree and move around in the tree, and finally got to where I could see a little bit of some, maybe a leg or something. But anyway, but then got down. But anything anyway, the coolest thing about the whole deer was about that whole deal was passing him. Probably I guess it was 3 or 4 years before that.
Wow.
And then getting to come back to the same spot, and right there at daylight, he walked up the way I was expecting him to come from, and I heard him, and he grunted, and he was just slightly downwind, and I thought, man, it's over, and then maybe whatever 30 minutes, an hour later, I hear that over there. Well, come to find out, it wasn't Wes over there. That was
actual deer.
That was actually a deer, and so, when you hear people blowing bleak calls and talking about grunting and all this stuff, and hey, at the right times of the year, all that stuff pays off big time,
You got that right.
But anyway,
How long it take y'all to get them out and you had to gather up
oh
your
my
crew?
goodness, yeah. Hey, and that right there, everybody thinks that's a trophy. No, that ain't the trophy. I can show you the trophy here in a minute. I'll show you what the real trophy is. Trophy is all them buddies that help you, and
Right.
and that spend time with you in the woods and the Lord's outdoors, and
That's exactly right.
that's where it's all at.
It's all about the experience versus the trophy, which the whole experience is the trophy. So
Oh yeah, this and just about every one of these deer has a story like that with buddies, and buddies or my son, or stuff like that. And I'm sure you and Kathy have,
Right.
that's
Oh,
cool,
yeah.
getting to spend that time out there with your best friend, and
exactly right. So
you know
So this was a morning hunt, basically. So, do you prefer mornings over evenings, or any time in particular, or just hunting period? So,
yeah, just hunting period. I probably see more in the mornings, but yeah, I've killed probably an equal number in the evenings. Probably. Just like.
would your setup be different in the mornings versus evening, higher or lower? Or?
Oh yeah, definitely. With the way the thermals work, used to I didn't know or understand how that worked, and I'd be down low in the evenings, and get busted horribly and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I don't just not hunt around the bottoms and stuff like that, but I normally try to hunt where nobody else wants to be, or wants to walk, or wants to travel.
No.
And that seems like that works the best for me.
So you're looking more for a more out of the way of place, or something that somebody ain't going to, versus higher or low,
Yeah.
or certain setups. But you got to have some kind of sign or something, or camera pictures to put you in that. So.
Yeah, oh yeah. Used to, I didn't care that much about I used to didn't care that much about trying to kill a big one. I always wanted to kill a big one, but I was more about getting the opportunity to pull the trigger, and that's what we done. We went from public land to public land, and you wanted the opportunity. You wanted to be able to pull the trigger, and whether it's shooting a doe or shooting a decent buck that was legal, and that's later on in my years where it got less fun to drag one out and everything, and I've hunted bankhead all my life, but never. My earlier years, probably wasn't as serious.
Right.
And then when I got to old enough that we could, that I could drive and travel and stuff like that, getting to go to public land that had lots more opportunities,
More higher deer numbers.
higher deer densities, you got to want to kill a deer to hunt bankhead. That's you got to want it real bad. We see people every year that think, hey, let's go out there where where Jamie and Michael kill those and kill us one, and you know, and they want to know the tricks to it all. Well, the trick is the number of hours you're out there. You know, it's all about, you know.
Yeah. Everybody wants to know, you know, secrets or whatever, and most of the time there's no secrets.
That's the
a
secret.
lot of hard work and time. So.
It's the secret is hours and shoe leather. You know, it's.
Well, what's all these years of hunting? What's the scariest or more freaked out situation that you've had out in the woods, or something you couldn't explain or anything like that?
Probably well, it's actually that 8-point laying right there. I think I killed that deer with my bow at our land in Tennessee, and that deer. Any which way, it was really heavy bodied. I was up there by myself, and I couldn't get him on the four-wheeler by myself.
Wow.
And I wrestled with him every which way. I parked the four-wheeler on the side of the hill anyway, try to drag him. I've wrestled around this thing for an hour. I can't get him on the four-wheeler. And so anyway, I come back across a little pond dam where I built this pond, and come across through there and looked. And I looked at it was actually a deer camera of mine. But what it was, I looked and seen a red eye and a green eye about 20 yards from me. And I thought, oh my goodness, right here's where something's fixing to eat me alive with you know, it was one of them, it was scary. That's probably the scariest I've ever been. And then, you know, it only lasted just a second. I realized, hey,
It's a camera.
that's a deer camera. But for that split second, you know.
I thought some kind of red-eyed, green-eyed monster.
Man, I didn't know what it was.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah.
I haven't even thought about anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is Jason Hill, and he don't do a whole lot of Facebook or social media posts. So a lot of people haven't heard anything about him. But he's a real true hunter. I mean, good man of God, and just shares a lot of experiences with people that gets to know him. He just don't broadcast a lot of stuff, but I really appreciate him letting us come into his house and seeing these, you know, true outdoor memories and trophies. You know, he said it's not all about the monster rack. He don't really worry about the monster racks, but he's looking for a mature deer, and he's definitely got them, and he knows how to do it. And we really appreciate you letting us come out, brother. So,
yeah, buddy.
Thank you. So. Hey everybody, we sure appreciate y'all watching our videos, and if you don't care, like, subscribe if you haven't, and share, tell your friends, and if you hadn't had a chance to pick up one of my books, please pick one up on Amazon. If you want one signed or personalized, anything like that, hey, I'll do it. So we just really appreciate y'all's support, so thank y'all for stopping by, and we'll see y'all in the next video.